At a time that we are having a debate over whether or not Kwame Nkrumah's name should be celebrated and whether Kotoka's name should be taken at the airport, and Nkrumah's name has featured a lot, there's something that Kwame Nkrumah left behind which has also been in the news. It's a Volta Aluminium company known as Valco. As a student of Tema Secondary School, Valco is one of the proud monuments we look at and say, oh, look at what Ghana has. But it appears Valco is nearly becoming a white elephant. At least that's a statement that is being made by the government. There's a need for an intervention to keep Valco afloat. The worker unions say that is not true. They say that there's an attempt to privatize a state-owned company. It has become a debate. So today on Face to Face, we want to sit down with the authority that is in charge of Valco or that owns Valco to find out what exactly is the plan. Are you privatizing Valco? What is the end game? I am Umaru Sanda Amadu, and on Face to Face today, I'll tell you who my guest is after this break. Please stay. So the Valco that has been in the discussion is owned, we are told, by an institution of state known as the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation. The CEO of that corporation has been in the news. They say he should be fired. Reindorf Twumasi Ankrah, lawyer. You're welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you, my brother.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Everything under control. It's been a stressful few weeks, hasn't it?
I wouldn't say it's been very stressful. It's been very stressful. I mean, it's part of the job. Once in a while, you get some of these shots, but once you know that you are fortified in whatever you're doing and you're convinced that is the best,
yeah, okay,
you take it and then you move with it.
How long have you been an appointee for?
March will be exactly in 12 months.
Oh, okay, okay. So you are yet to do 1 year.
I'm yet to do 1 year.
Is GIADEC a new establishment or an existing establishment?
GIADEC, I would say, in terms of public organization, is relatively new. It was established, it came into full operation somewhere around 2019.
2019, so around 6-7 years now.
It's about 7 years.
What is GIADEC?
So GIADEC is the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, as you rightfully said. And by law, our mandate is to develop the integrated aluminium industry for Ghana. And this is essentially, this is in simple words, value addition to our bauxite. So you see this rock here, this is bauxite.
Okay.
This
looks like gravel stone.
So when we talk about bauxite, this is a bauxite. This is a bauxite ore.
Please, can I touch? I've not touched gold or diamond before. Let me touch bauxite.
Oh, bauxite, I'm sure we all may have come across bauxite in our backyards. Yeah. So this is the bauxite. Our job is to move the bauxite from the ore you touched to this, what we call alumina, which is the primary material that we use to develop the aluminium, or you use to develop the carbon anodes that you need for the aluminium. So our job is to move this stone from here to this, and to aluminium.
Ghana is rich in mineral resources.
Yes.
We have had bauxite for centuries. You are just 6 years or 7 years old.
Yes.
So before GIADEC came, who was doing this processing?
So,
or what was the bauxite? Okay, what did we do with our bauxite those times?
We have to also before I even answer the question, let me take you back a bit. You gave a very beautiful introduction and talked about Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and how he had a vision for Ghana and all of that. So it is part of his vision that led to the birth of Valco and then the birth of Akosombo, as we all know.
The dam.
So, yes, the dam. His vision was to have an integrated aluminium industry, which he believed was going to be the industrial hub of the country and turn the fortunes of the country around. Unfortunately, when he negotiated the transaction with Kaiser Aluminium and Reynolds to come and build the plant, which is a smelter, the understanding did not include the building a refinery. So they sited a refinery somewhere in Jamaica and then built the Valco plant here. I mean, I'm told, or from the records, it's purely a commercial decision that they also took and also had its political undertones. Wait,
let me understand this. So Kaiser is a company that built Valco for us. It's an American company.
Yes, American company.
Nkrumah went to bring them to, and then they said, okay, we need a power plant, which is why we had the Akosombo Dam. So Akosombo Dam was primarily built to fire Valco.
That is exactly why it was.
You said a smelter and you said a refinery. What's the difference? What is Valco?
So Valco is a smelter.
Smelter, what does it mean?
The smelter is a plant that you need to move the aluminium, sorry, the alumina to aluminium, the aluminium metals.
Okay, so when we have, so Valco takes this powdery substance.
No, it takes the powdery substance and then moves it to the anodes for the aluminium.
And then does Valco also do this thing you have up there, so that's shiny thing?
This thing is supposed to be done by what we call the downstream industry. So those are the people who take the aluminium metals, what we call the ingots from Valco, and then further processes into finished goods that we use for some of these roofing sheets.
So Valco is not doing roofing sheets.
So that is not the core mandate of Valco. Valco's core mandate is to smelt and then to more or less produce aluminium metals for the use of the downstream. And that is why we had Aluwex.
Okay, Aluwex as also a state company.
Yes, as a state company. So as part of the plan, Aluwex was built to take the aluminium and process it further for the use of local market and export. So that was the plan.
So would it be good to say Valco does the primary and then Aluwex does the secondary?
So I'll rather say that yes,
if they dig this thing from a gravel pit somewhere, when does Valco take this gravel thing and do? Okay, so where do we convert this into this material? Is it at the mining site?
No, so at the mining site we extract this material. So the mining experts and engineers will extract this material, get us the best quality, get us a smelter, a refinery grade bauxite. Then we take it through the refinery, the alumina plant. Unfortunately, as a country, we don't have an alumina refinery.
Okay, but we have a plant at the mining sites.
No, we don't have. We have so the mine site is different from the alumina plant.
Okay.
So the mine is only to extract the ore for you.
Okay.
Then the ore is supposed to go to the refinery if you have one.
No, I want to know in Ghana currently what happens. So when they take this gravel thing, where do they take it to?
So in Ghana, when we take it now, because we don't have a refinery, you have to export.
So we send this gravel abroad.
And then they process it.
Then we bring it.
Then we re-import the alumina
and take it to Valco.
Yes, we import. So Valco buys alumina. So that is why GIADEC is working hard.
This is like what we do with our petroleum sector. We take the crude, instead of bringing it to our refinery, we take it abroad, and then we bring it back to Boston and say, hold it for us.
Because of course, our toll was not functioning at the point in time. So that is so. And here, as I was telling you the story about the Nkrumah's plan, we had. So based on the negotiations had with Kaiser and Reynolds, they came and built the plant, but they did not build a refinery, because then building a refinery would have given put Ghana on the pedestal to be the only African country or one of the leading countries in the world with a fully integrated aluminium industry, which meant that you extract the ore, it doesn't have to leave Ghana. You take it to the refinery applies the necessary processes and then converts it to alumina, and then it can be supplied to Valco for Valco to use it for the metals, and then further goes to downstream. So these laps in the chain and the other bottlenecks in the chain is what GIADEC has been set up to ensure or to correct or to ensure that we have in place. And
so you have become the interface between all the players. Exactly. That's what you have come to do.
Exactly.
Okay, before we even proceed further, I remember you as when Dr. Bawumia at the time was vice president, there was this whole thing to do roads using bauxite. That was when I started hearing about GIADEC. I don't know if that plan is still on, that we'll use some bauxite, give to China people, they'll do road for us. You remember that thing?
I don't really recall that.
But it's not in your space now.
It's not in our space now. Our main focus is to first and foremost. So I'm sure people made that it came up because as part of the byproduct of bauxite, you can get the clinker that you use for cement, for roads and all of that. So that is another conversation. Okay. That comes up when we are able to extract, we set things in motion. These are some of the byproducts you get in the value chain when you are processing. Okay. So it may all come up when we are able to build the necessary pillars. Okay. But for now, we've not gotten there. What is important is to have the pillars in place.
So currently you are playing a coordinating role.
Exactly.
Which are the elements under your corporation? Who are the main players under GIADEC?
If you could come clear, but I'll try.
What I mean is that, so Valco is a major.
Okay, so
what else do you have apart from Valco?
So what we have, GIADEC, let me just take you back a bit so that your viewers and those who will be listening on radio will be able to appreciate the story. So when GIADEC was set up, government, as part of its plans to have its hands washed off and set up a corporation that will manage the activities of our integrated aluminum industry, transferred its shares that it had in Ghana Bauxite Company to GIADEC. So now GIADEC has some stake in Ghana Bauxite Company. So we refer to them as a sister company or an affiliated company.
You don't own it?
We don't own it. We just have about 23% or so in that company. And then as part of that plan, all the shares that the state had in Valco were also transferred to GIADEC. So now GIADEC owns Valco 100%.
Okay.
And we have also set up a new company, which has its focus to just manage the mines on behalf of GIADEC, which is a new company we set up somewhere last year. That's Ghana Integrated Bauxite Development Company. Okay. So its goal will be to just manage the mining activities for GIADEC. Because
when you say manage, are the mining companies for us as a state, are they not private?
No, so exactly that's the point I'm making. Because in-house we may not necessarily have the expertise, and we don't have the state resources to possibly bring on board fine expertise. So we set up a private company, go and look for financing, then have your own staff. We will give you all the necessary requisite support or the necessary support to be able to recruit competent, qualified staff to help with the management operations of that. Because mine management is a very complex area. You need expertise to do that. We have some in-house technical staff, and they themselves will even tell you that you need a lot of other people on board. But you know how government recruitment processes are. If you go and poach someone working at a mine taking about $10,000 to $20,000 a month and say, I'm coming to give you $1,000, it is a no-go area. So you have to let them understand that they are coming into a commercial area, they have the latitude to operate, and they are not going to be shortchanged or they are not going to be worse off. That is why the board agreed that let's set up a different entity. Let's take up our role as a coordinator, like you have rightly put it, ensure that all the interfaces are working accurately. So that's what we have done. So now we have that company, we have Valco, and we have our stake in Ghana Bauxite. We are hoping to, going forward, build other special purpose vehicles, leveraging the bauxite to have rail network done and to have some parts of the port developed just for bauxite related activities.
Are you a regulator or a player?
We are a corporation and we are a player. We are not a regulator.
Okay.
We are a player, but we are a player that has the responsibility to ensure that the sector is running.
Okay, so you are the state player.
Yes.
You are like our cocoa board in the bauxite
space. We are like
space.
Cocoa board or Ghana GNPC.
Okay, in the
bauxite
so that's
industry.
what you do.
Yeah.
So far, since the setting up of GIADEC in 2019, what have been the major interventions? What have been the things that GIADEC has been doing for the benefit of the people of Ghana?
So like I said,
and you just became a CEO, by the way.
Yes.
But so just the things you picked from the briefing notes.
Yeah, that's like I said, GIADEC is relatively young, to be 7 years I think this year or so, or if my mathematics hasn't failed me. So it's still in the foundational stages because its core mandate under law is to promote and develop the integrated aluminium industry. Luckily for us, we have a smelter in place. The smelter has its own challenges. So when I took office, I noticed that some work has been done to try and revive. And the work that has been done, let me just put on record, are things that previous administrations, even before the Akufo-Addo administration, made attempts to revive it.
When you say the smelter, you're referring to Valco?
Valco. When I say smelter, I'm referring to Valco. So viewers and listeners, smelter means Valco in this context. So attempts were made by previous administrations, including JM number 1, and then Akufo-Addo came, and then JM number 2. Attempts are being made because Valco is key to having an integrated aluminum industry. Even if you are going to have other smelters come on board subsequently, we need to have one that sets the ball in motion for us.
Who owns Valco?
We own Valco. GIADEC owned Valco.
Since when? And what has been the ownership of Valco? Because you mentioned Kaiser, and now we are also saying we own it. So Kaiser is an American man. So how did we come to own Valco?
So that's an interesting point that you brought up, and I need to, if you give me the time to just look at it.
Please go ahead.
So people are of the view that Valco was built as a state company. That is completely false.
Okay.
We should credit His Excellency, the first president of this country, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, for being able to deploy his negotiation skills to get Kaiser, even in the peak of the Cold War, because Ghana was more or less non-aligned, to come on board, an American company, to help us build Valco, whilst we had another company, which is also to the east, coming to help us build Akosoma and all of that. So he deployed his negotiation skills to help the country get these two key assets. But Valco was never built as a state-owned company. It was built as a private company. The shares were 90% for Kaiser, 10% for Reynolds.
Renault, the car manufacturer?
Yeah, Reynolds Metals. They own 10%,
Okay.
Kaiser own 90%. And that has been the case since 1967 until 2008, When Kaiser went bankrupt in the US, so had to liquidate some of its assets, and then government stepped in and acquired 90% of its shares. But before that, I think Aqua came on board to acquire the shares of Renault. So later, Aqua also sold off its shares to the government, and government in 2008 became 100% owner of Valco. And this is what people don't like to see. This is what I say, and they say I'm exaggerating the figures and I should resign. But that is the truth. Anybody who wants to go with the documents, when you look at the documentation,
the data,
when you look at the data, and they say book no lie, when you look at the numbers, you see that since government took over Valco 100%, it started having challenges.
Since 2008?
Since 2008. And anybody who wants to be fair to the facts will tell you, since 2008, you've had recurrent challenges.
What do you use to measure challenges?
So we've had, of course, some of the challenges were national, of course, like power. We've had production challenges. We've had, Valco was set up with a nameplate capacity of 200,000 metric tons of aluminium per year. From 2008 coming, we started reducing. Now we do just about 20 to 23%.
Less than a quarter?
Less than a quarter, which means we are doing just about 40,000 maximum a year out of the 200,000. All the installed port lines are obsolete because they are from 1960s. We are living in an era of modern, efficient technology. And because the installed port lines and cell lines are all obsolete, out of date, they are inefficient, so leading to higher production cost.
What are port lines?
So those are the lines that you use to process the alumina to get the aluminium.
Okay.
So that's what the phase it goes through.
So all since 67, the same thing?
The same thing. And unfortunately, the 5 port lines, we have just 1 operating.
And it's supposed to be 5?
It's supposed to be 5 all operating. But the thing is, even though you are doing 1, you are still using almost the same energy or the same resources that you need to run the 5. You get it? So we are paying more and producing less. So you're not able to meet production targets. You're not able to generate some more revenue. And Valco has been repeatedly incurring losses year in, year out. And the data is there. Maybe after this I can share with you.
So before 2008, was it performing to the optimum?
So, no, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't performing to the optimum. It started having some challenges.
Okay.
Of course, like I indicated, Kaiser itself started having challenges in the US, so had to go. It went bankrupt. So it started having its own challenges. But it was, at least one would say, better than when we took over. We took over, of course, once you take over a company, the expectation is that you build on it.
Yeah.
So we have to ask ourselves the question, since we took over, have we been able to build on what we took over? And the answer is no, we have not.
Since 2008, that's
since
what?
2008.
18 years now.
It's almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
And the records for the past immediate 10 years, the data, the annual returns, the financials to show that we are nowhere close to even breaking even.
Breaking even means what we pump in, we don't get
We don't
back.
even get what we pump in back. So we always incur losses.
So we've been running at a loss?
We've been running at a loss. We've been running at a loss, and this is not information that is secret. It's out there. Everybody, like you indicated, that you're a Tema boy. Everybody in Tema, when you have a conversation with them, will tell you that Valco has collapsed.
Yeah.
Because they know it. They know how Valco was before and how Valco is now. So it's not a conversation that we should even be having. And And I'm surprised that some people are happy with the current state of affairs and will be able to even demonstrate and demand that I should resign because I've been engaged in mismanagement. I don't manage Valco.
Okay, so financially speaking, you're saying things are not good with Valco. How bad are they?
It's really bad. It's so bad that in 2022, KPMG was commissioned to actually go into the books and assess the actual asset value of Valco against its liabilities. And the figures that came up showed that Valco is on life support. Because the moment government pulls the plugs, everything goes off. So it's more or less operating on the benevolence of government. And when I say benevolence of government, if today government says, I've washed my hands off, you're a private company, Greco go in and claim whatever debt is due you, GRA go in and claim whatever debt is due you, TDC go in and claim whatever debt is due you, the assets, the so-called assets of Valco cannot even pay for the debt they owe. Because the debt they owe, per the records, is about in excess of 400. That was even as a $200 million.
Dollars?
Yes, that was even as at 2022-2023, which means there's a likelihood that there's been increment in the debt portfolio. That's about $400 million. And then its assets valuation as of 2022 was $113 million, which in 2025 has further depreciated to $97 million. So clearly, within the space of 3 years, we've seen a decline in the asset value by $16 million.
When you talk about assets, does Valco have satellite assets aside what's in Tema?
Oh, it has some landed properties.
Okay.
So I want to believe that all these landed properties were put together and a value was put on it.
There are no branches or...
No, Valco doesn't have branches. It just has landed properties. It has a clubhouse for its senior staff. It has other workers.
Where is that clubhouse?
Most of them in Tema, and I think a property in Alabuka. So I hope I'm getting the name right, in Western region.
Okay.
Which, from the record I have cited, was purchased somewhere in 2015. And the value on it was about 4 million Ghana cedis. So let's even say it's a landed property appreciates over a period of time. So 2015 to now is about 11 years. So let's even say the value is now times 2 of the initial value. We are talking about 8 to 10 million Ghana cedis. But the point I'm trying to make is that all these assets put together, KPMG came with a value of $113 million as against a debt portfolio of almost $400 million then.
So it was not a sustainable business? It was
not a sustainable business. It was only operating because government did not want to put the plugs on it. But if you do...
So government kept subsidizing or supporting?
So of course, because government's intervention was that, oh, VRA, hold on, Gridco, hold on, don't go for your debt. Let them keep operating because it costs more to restart Valco when it is shut down than to keep it running.
Okay.
So we had to just keep it running, keep it on life support.
So the ideal thing was to shut it down.
The ideal, in fact, there are records to shut. And if the present MD will be honest to you, he has a letter. I think he had a letter. I think last year or last 2 years that the plant should be shut down.
From who? Government?
From government. I think the previous that it has to be shut down because it is not making any revenue for the country.
So Valco is not even a white elephant.
It is not. I think now I don't even know how we can describe it.
It's a green elephant.
I think so.
Let me take a break. When I come back, I'll ask you, after the auditing was done, what were the proposals by the auditors and what we are going to do with Valco next. This is Face to Face on ChannelOne television. This is not the Valco CEO or MD. This is the man who is the boss of the Valco MD. And we are talking about Valco because there's a plan, an intervention that government has planned for the Valco, and the workers are up in arms. Yesterday they were on demonstration. They want his head cut off as boss of GIADEC. Stay with us. This is Face to Face. Yeah, welcome back. This is Face to Face on ChannelOne television. I'm Umaru Sanda Amadu, and my guest today is the CEO of the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, which has 100% stake in Valco, the Volta Aluminium company, and that's what we are having a conversation about. So you said that an auditing was commissioned into Valco.
Yes.
And this was which period?
So this was 2022.
Okay.
But that was also building on the efforts that had been made previously by subsequent government to also get Valco revived. So every government, at least for the past 20 years, has tried as much as possible to ensure that we have a revived, modernized, and more functioning Valco. So it's been efforts being built year in, year out by subsequent governments. So in 2022, a step was taken with the establishment of GIADEC. The step was taken that, you know what, let's actually understand this true state of affairs, because maybe government, I'm sure at the time, did not believe what was being reported to it by the managers of Valco. So KPMG possibly went in there, was commissioned, went in, did an extensive work, did a valuation, did an asset versus liability comparisons, and came up with certain options of how to revive or to retrofit Valco or make it more functional. And they came up with their reports, gave 5 options that were on the table, analyzed it. I think among the options, debt financing was part of the options. Equity, strategic equity partnership or investment was part of the options. I've forgotten the other thing. But after going through all the nuances with the options proposed, government settled on the equity investor option because that brought in more gains. Government retained some portion of ownership. Government retains some portion of control. They get free private sector money, get free private sector managerial and operational expertise to come on board to help turn the place around. And in any case, that was a status quo. It was a private business. Government has now gone in. Government has realized that the load is too heavy for us. We may possibly underestimated what needs to be done with Valco. So someone should come and take over, come and help us, step in. let's share managerial role, let's share profit, let's share cost, and then let's run it together. And that is the steps that have been taken.
This was a proposal from KPMG.
This was a proposal from KPMG. It went to cabinet then. Cabinet studied it. And let's not forget that all these works, inputs were made by Valco. Because
where Valco here is the management
of Valco, specifically the MD now, the MD now, or the CEO now for Valco, was then the director of finance.
Okay.
So he played a key role in all of these.
We're told he's been there for years.
Yeah, he's been there for, according to what he told me, he's been there for 17 years.
Okay.
I don't know whether he's been director of finance for 17 years, but what the records show is that at the time when these works were being done, he was a key player because he was director of finance, and the KPMG report actually indicates that whatever information they relied on to come to the conclusions they came to, was provided to them, was information furnished to them by Valco itself. So clearly, he played a key role. He understands the issues that I'm talking about. And he knows that the debt financing option that he has proposed in some quarters was part of the proposals that KPMG submitted to Cabinet. And Cabinet did not approve it because they didn't think that it was a viable option in the face of an equity investment. Okay. Having regard to some of the benefits I have just outlined to you, that we are getting free capital, we are getting free expertise. So why do we have to go and borrow and add to the debt stock of Valco in any case?
So no debt financing, rather no debt financing. Equity support. Okay.
So let's go for equity support. In any case, the goal is not about control, the goal is about growth. So if 100% gives us control, but we are not growing, but maybe 10%, 20%, 40% gives us a minimal level of control, but we grow. Every reasonable business person or commercially oriented person will go for the one that increases growth. Okay. So, and the government took that decision. Fast forward, power changed. Steps were taken, it could not conclude. Power changed. We studied the records. We did the briefing sessions. A decision was taken. Let's progress with this because it's the most viable commercial option.
So this government thought that what the old government was doing was something worth continuing with.
Exactly, because like I indicated to you, it was a step that had already been attempted previously under His Excellency John Dramani.
So this government decided to continue?
To continue. So it's, like I said, efforts have been made to revive Valco. So it's not a one government thing, it's a continue. Okay. So you come, you try your best, maybe you are cut off by time you move. Another person comes, if they look at what you've done and it's good, they take it up. So we've been building on it over the years, trying to get Valco revived. And then we looked at the steps that have been taken, where they've gotten to, and realized, okay, let's continue with this. Let's modify some of the approaches. Let's patch up some holes and then start. The briefings were done. The go-ahead was given. Minister inaugurated his committee. The committee did its work and then went to the minister and said, we have been able to select some possible investors, look at it, and then that's where we are.
When you say minister, what ministry is Valco under?
We are under the Lands Ministry, Minister for Lands and Natural, Ministry for Lands and Natural.
So that's where Valco is placed?
That's where Valco is placed.
Okay. Not energy?
Not energy. Okay. Not energy, because if you look at the act that establishes GIADEC, the sector ministry is the Ministry for Lands and Natural Resources.
And so because you own Valco, your asset now becomes part of Lands Ministry.
Exactly. Okay. So we cannot be under the Lands Ministry and our asset to be under a different ministry. Okay. It will not make public policies much sense to do that. So we are all aligned under the same ministry. Okay. And that is what the state of affairs is now. So the report has been submitted to the ministry. We are waiting for further direction from the ministry.
When you say report, this committee that was set up, was it set up by GIADEC or the Ministry for Valco, or Valco itself set it up, or the presidency? So
let me just state that by sounding a bit technical. So, you know, in corporate law, shares, ownership of shares and the sale or transfer of shares is a decision that is purely taken by the owner, not the company. Because if I am running a business and I'm making losses and I'm the owner of the business, I suffer the burden alone. It is not the employees, because at the end of the month, employees want their salary. And as we have been informed, in November 2022, the plant was shut down. That is to the cost of the shareholder. In February 2022, workers were agitating for unpaid salaries. That is a burden of the shareholder because it's something that you are supposed to deal with. So when it comes to decisions of bringing on board investors, that's purely a decision for the shareholder to make.
Where the shareholder now is government through GIADEC.
Is GIADEC holding the shares in trust for government. So we take instructions and we act on it. So in terms of this, GIADEC acting together with the ministry, or acting under the supervision or directions of the ministry, put together the committee. The committee had representatives from Valco because we wanted to hear their side of the story, what inputs they could make. So they were on the committee. The reps on the committee were nominated by the MD himself. The reps included a deputy CEO and a director of Valco. And there was a cut across. All the ministries that brought their reps also brought directors with a specialty in what we wanted to do. GIADEC also brought its reps. They were inaugurated to do their work, and they brought their report.
And the agenda was to see what we should do with Valco.
Not just Valco, to see what we can, to look at the proposals and look for who can help revive Valco and who can help us build a refinery.
Okay.
So it's a two-pronged approach. And we had people, selected the investors that were ready to build Valco, to revive Valco and build a new refinery for Ghana, because it's key to the industrialization of the aluminium sector. So not just coming in to pump money into Valco, but do you also have the means to build a refinery? And it's all part of the considerations that the committee looked at.
And what was the proposal that the committee put forward?
So
and has that been accepted?
So no, that has, of course, that is now the committee has done its work. GIADEC has completed its work on that. But of course, there are chains of command. So we are waiting for further directions from the chains of command.
So what is this story about you trying to sell Valco or privatize Valco, and you are the one who is leading the charge?
Umaru, I have just recounted the history.
Yes.
So clearly you know that it's not something that started with me. It just so happens I'm in the seat now. And I'm leading the charge because I have a legal mandate to lead the charge.
Is there a plan? Are you planning to sell Valco?
We are not selling Valco. But what I can say authoritatively is that government is embarking on a co-ownership arrangement for Valco.
Can you explain what that means?
When
and how different is it from privatization or sale? Because you see, some of these state assets, people are a bit sentimental. Ghana Airways, hey, let it be. Even if it is broken down, let it continue flying like that. We like it like that. You know, Tema Oil Refinery, problems, but you let it be like that. We'll manage it like that. Now, you have Valco, an asset that people take pride in. You know, there are sentimental reasons. Then suddenly you want to sell. It's like ECG, Ghana Water Company, those kind of things. So what are you planning to do with Valco? Give it to some private person to run, which will be privatization, or sell it completely to someone like we did with Ghana Telecom? So what's your plan?
What I can say authoritatively is that we are not selling like we did with Ghana Telecom. But what we are doing is bringing on private sector to help with the management and share ownership. Inject capital, revive the place, and keep it running. That I can tell you authoritatively that we are doing.
But government cannot do that on its own?
Umaru, I don't think the past governments and the present government has $750 million sitting there just to pump into the retrofitting of Valco. I don't think
there will be results?
There will be results, but the results, we have to also look at the data. The results with the same structure will churn out the same results we are getting now.
But have we checked what the problem is? Is it management or the facility itself?
Facility is a problem. Management is a problem. And I can say that because if the data is there and you see it's a problem. So we have to look at it from all angles. Now the question is, if someone is coming to give you that amount of money, you don't think they have a right to have a say?
So we are planning to bring a private person who is going to give us $700 million.
Who is going to pump that money into what we want?
That pumping, what's the nature that is going to take? So what will happen to Valco if that intervention happens?
So of course, when that intervention happens, Valco will not only be operating at full capacity, that's the 200,000 that they have now. The plan is to also populate or create a new line, which will have the capacity to create additional 100,000 metric tons of aluminium per year. So we are going to move from the 200,000 to minimum 300,000 metric tons of aluminium capacity for Valco. And that alone is increased production, which automatically will translate into increased revenue. And then we'll set Valco on the path to be able to pay off its debts and then start making marginal profits over a period of time until its books become clean of debt and start making the necessary profits. Aside that, because we have private sector involved, GRA is no longer going to defer its taxes. It will go in, take it, that is revenue for the state. You have more direct jobs created because as Valco has the capacity to do 3,000 to 4,000 direct staff, but it's now doing, I'm told, about 600 to 800. Why won't, if that comes, we are going to have these about 2,000 people, extra people getting jobs. That is direct. Indirect, of course, food vendors, water, and other people are also going to get additional jobs. Transportation, workers commuting in and out of Valco, it's also additional jobs for drivers. So the chain is a very long one.
And are we building a new plant, or is the same plant we are reviving?
So we are using the same land. I mean, removing all the installed plants, bringing in new plants with a new technology, So let me just say we are taking everything away and then reinstall new ones on a phased basis, because don't forget we also have to keep the facility running. So the plan will be that the one that is functional, even though at 23, we immediately work on it, increase it to 100% production. That one alone, keep the facility running whilst we move to the next line, and then gradually scale it up to have all the 5 lines done within the period. We have a timeline we are working with. Once we get the necessary go ahead to engage, we are looking at maximum 48 months. We should have the 6 lines in place.
So in 48 months, Valco will become heaven.
Once we get that necessary, I don't know how heaven looks like. We can imagine it, but but of course,
but heaven, as a heaven, Valco will be back on its feet.
It will be back on its feet, and it will be running. And those who are agitating now may look back and say there was no need for that.
I'll come back to those who are agitating, but a few more things I want to understand. Are you now going to the market to look for this private intervener, or you already have someone waiting on the sidelines, trotting and waiting to say, give me the chance to run Valco? What is the
so like I indicated, before we even came into office, there had been a lot of expressions of interest. So the committee, that was what the committee was commissioned to do. They looked at the expression of interest, engaged the people behind it, engaged with the
so people express interest. Yeah, so there were bids of a sort.
People we can loosely say that people express
local interest. Companies, foreign companies.
Yeah.
About how many people express interest?
Mostly what I noticed was that the foreign companies more or less had some local partners, but most of the proposals were foreign, purely foreign. About how many people expressed interest in this? From the report, I think it was, when it comes to Valco, it was about 9, but if you add the refinery to it, it was about 13 proposals.
Okay. So, and did we whittle down to a final company?
Yes, that's what the report did. That's what the committee was.
What did the committee settle on out of these people?
Well, the committee said, I think, made some recommendations for the consideration of the board, but because we are waiting for clearances from the top, I wouldn't want to make those disclosures now. Okay, are you sure this name is already not public? Because we are getting all manner of names being because it has not been officially communicated to anybody. I wouldn't want to. You don't want to? Yeah, I wouldn't want to go into that. So, but there's going to be a company that's willing. Yes, there's going to be a company. Of course, there's a company. There's a company already. Yeah, that has been selected for further consideration. And this company, you don't want to give me the name. No, I don't want to disclose the name, but it's been selected for further consideration by the appropriate authorities. What does this company have under its sleeves? For which reason we are settling on that company? Again, I'm asking this question. The company mindful of PDS and ECG. The company has the requisite financial ability, technical expertise, the global reach, and the things that we're looking for, energy supply that we're looking for. And these were the things that the governments have focused on, that if you are bringing an investor, the investor must have these. It must have the requisite ability to mobilize $600 million. It must have a global reach in terms of market. It must be able to promote. Don't forget, our job is to promote Ghana's industry. So it must have the global reach that makes it easier for Ghana to penetrate the markets. So we looked at all of these factors. And then the committee was asked to, bearing in mind these factors as contained in the cabinet memo and all of that, go interrogate the proposals, engage them, and advise. And they did that, exactly. So do they have the expertise? Have they the track record? Yes, they have. I mean, I don't want to disclose, but maybe off record I can give you some, and then when you see them yourself, you know that they have the expertise. When is it going to be discllosed to the public? After that, after the approval is given from the top, it will make it public. Where is this approval at the top? Where is the top? Is it like I said, GIADEC holds the shares in trust for government, and the head of so government. So you go and tell government that, Mr. Government, yes, the thing you gave me to do, this is what I think. Yes. Do you accept or not? Exactly. So if government says yes, then you go ahead and implement. Exactly. Now, what will be the consequence of that? Job losses for Ghanaians, and that is something, because the union is not happy. So people lose their job. When you bring a private person, fire all the Ghana guys and bring your own president. Before even coming to answer that, I don't think the union of Valco is not happy. I have a strong reservation. I spoke to the union chairman. I think it's the union chairman using his office for a particular agenda. The union, because Umaru, we should be very sad if those people who paraded under the tree represent the staff strength of Valco. Then it should be very, very sad as a country. Why? Because they are not even up to 100. That's a sample. No, but leaders are leaders. So, but I'm saying that if indeed the union was speaking, we should have seen them out there in their numbers. So you think that we should have seen them out there in their numbers? That's why I don't think that is the union speaking, but people using their offices, and it's very common using their offices for some of these things. But I don't want to. Do you have any personal fight with them? I don't know them. Don't know them. Because I'm told one of them was in your program yesterday and said that yes, when I saw him, I didn't even greet him. I just waved. He said he waved. But at least I waved.
Yeah. In fact, I'll quote for you directly what he said, but I just want to understand this new intervention, job losses.
So there will be no job losses, and that is the reason why we need to have Valco revived. Because we are performing at 23% capacity. If the plan is to increase capacity to 100%, you don't need any sophistry to let you know that once you are moving to 100%, you need additional hands. And Valco is a specialized industry.
Okay.
You need specialized skill.
What's the shareholding arrangement that this committee has proposed?
No, the committee did not propose a shareholding. The shareholdings, because of our law, the law says in such arrangements, GIADEC, in partnership with any local company that's Ghanaian local content, should make sure that they retain 30% ownership for the country. Based on this understanding, all the proposals that came, some were asking for 80%, some were asking for 100% because they're also Ghanaian companies, some were asking, but majority, if not all, but those who were asking for 100% in respect of different, I think the refinery and other, but the majority, or all that came for Valco were all pegged at 70% for the investor.
So it's likely that we would have 70% stake in a private hand and 30%
in government hand.
Okay, so now you see what happens there is that 70% is the biggest shareholder. You know, based on your company law, he decides what he's really going to do. So it's like 2/3 super majority. Now, he will decide who the new CEO will be.
Yes.
He will decide who the workers will be and all of those things.
So that is
and
why,
that is where the issue
and that is why I'm saying that is why we are involved in this. And if, I'm sure at the appropriate time when the report is made available and we all see, you see the considerations that the committee considered, the thing they considered when it comes to the local content and retention of staff. In fact, from the report I have cited, when they used a certain scale of measurement and retention of staff and increasing the staff strength over a period of time was key, and I think it had one of the highest considerations. So the plans, why would government in this bid to create jobs want to render other people jobless?
Okay. Hold it there. I'll come back. I want to read a quotation from the union chairman to you so that you respond to that.
I hope it's not a Bible quotation because he's fond of giving Bible quotations.
No, this is not Ken Oforiatta, so you are safe. But the next thing is that there's something you are doing around Valco lands. They say that one too you are selling. This is Face to Face on ChannelOne television. We'll be back with more, please. Demand resignation of GIADEC CEO. That is you. A part of the story quoting the union chairman. Speaking at a protest on Monday, February 9, the local union chairman, Samuel Tete Ajiman, urged the president to dismiss the CEO, stating that he is not fit to occupy a leadership position at GIADEC. He added that several attempts by the union to engage the CEO on the issue have yielded no results. Quote, he doesn't take any advice from anybody and nothing concerns him. What he says he wants to do, whether good or bad, is what he wants to do. We wrote him a letter on the 18th of December and he hasn't replied. So we don't know what he is up to. He also doesn't talk to anybody. That's the end of the quote.
Okay, so I'll try as much as possible to address every sentence in the quote.
Go ahead.
First, he has not given me any advice.
Okay.
He himself admitted that I only waved at him. Mm-hmm. So how can someone who says I only waved at him come and say I don't listen to advice?
Okay.
What advice did he try to give me that I did not listen to?
Okay.
Two, like he rightly said, I don't know him. He's not part of the management of Valco. Management decisions will not involve him. So whatever conversations take place at the top, it is not my responsibility to go and brief him.
Okay.
It is his MD and his management's responsibility to brief him, not mine.
Okay.
So what is the basis of his attack on me?
Okay.
I really don't see it. And he talks about a letter, and I have to admit, unfortunately, we had some national service persons who were using the front desk. We just recruited because of our financial challenges. We try as much as possible to cut costs. That letter came to my notice just about 28th or so of January. And has even been responded to. The legal people responded to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure he's yet to get his response. But even before we sent him the response, we had already put out there in the public domain what it is we are doing, because he had already gone public with some misleading information and mentioning names of people that I'm associated with, trying to create a certain narrative that we are taking lands, we are taking Valco, we are selling and we're giving it to somebody. He tried to create that narrative. So we had to come out, put out there the information, let people understand this is what is happening. There's nothing untoward about it.
When you have opposition from the union, and now you are saying that you don't think it's the union, but is there someone occupying an office who is using that? But still, he occupies that chair, and to the extent that he's occupying that chair, people would hold anything he says as being representative of the union. The fact that you have a challenge with the union agreeing with this your plan, it means that maybe you haven't done enough stakeholder consultation. Secondly, what's the role of the CEO or MD of Valco in this? Are you adding them on this? Because it appears that Valco management isn't entirely happy with this plan of yours too.
Umaru, anybody who tells you that Valco management is not aware of anything that is going on, I wouldn't want to mince words. It's a complete liar. And I want to mince words at all. And this is why I say so. Being
aware is different from accepting.
I'm coming. But you see, like I indicated a point earlier, when it comes to shareholding, it's a government, you are, in fact, technically speaking, you are a worker of the state. Okay. The state drives policy. The state is the one that decides that this is what I want to do for the benefit of the general public.
You can't challenge.
You can't sit there looking at things from a parochial perspective and say that I don't agree. So let's ask him the relevant questions, or whoever is saying that the relevant. Is he happy with the present state of affairs of Valco? Is he happy that 2-3 years ago, he as union leader leading his charge were demonstrating for unpaid salaries? Is he happy that they go and all they do after laboring every year, they run losses? Is he not considering the fact that if things are working in an optimal way, he is in a better position to negotiate proper conditions of service for himself and his staff? He's talking about job losses. If he wants to know, they had 2 reps. Valco had 2 reps on the committee, nominated by no other person than the MD himself. I have a letter I can pull out and show you. I wrote to him in September 2025, requesting for those reps. He never responded until I wrote again a follow-up in October.
Do you have personal issues?
I don't know him. I can't have personal issues with somebody I don't know.
The MD, not the union.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know him. I only got to know him because of the virtue of my job. I don't
have any problem with him.
I don't have any problem. I call him. I can say we talk. But of course, this is work.
But he's your employee, technically.
Let's say he's my employee technically. But I mean, we are all working for the government. Okay. We are all trying to make sure that the objectives of the government...
You all report to the same person, or he reports to you and you report to somebody?
So we report to the same person. Let me just say that. We all report to the same person. But regardless of the chain of command, there is a task that needs to be done. There is a job that needs to be done. What we have to assess is whether what needs to be done or what has to be done is going to be beneficial for Ghanaians. That is where the conversation should start from. Okay. And once we conclude that it's going to be beneficial to for the country and Ghanaians, I think we should all rally behind it and do it. Okay. Not people picketing here and there, raising issues. But in any case, if I have not consulted you and have written and said that this is just the first phase, and when we get to the next phase, there will be broader consultation. Because you see, all these things we are doing, SIGA is even the body set up by law to advise. So when we get to that stage, we will even write to SIGA for their opinion. So this is just the first step in the scheme of things. Okay. So why the rush?
When do we expect to see a government decision on this, or a cabinet decision on this?
That is, like I said, that is entirely a decision that His Excellency and His
cabinet will cabinet and
so I have to leave it to the cabinet.
Let's move on quickly before we leave on another thing that they say you are also selling Valco lands.
That is a complete falsehood. And anybody who wants to be truthful, in fact, the MOU talking about the strategic partnership between government, GIADEC, GIADEC, TDC, and Arise, it's out there for everybody to read. TDC, from documentation, owned a certain land that previously was held by Valco by way of a lease. The lease expired. TDC wrote to surrender it and requested for renewal. TDC said, we can't give you the entire tract of land. What we'll do is we'll give you a portion. The other portion has been reserved for strategic national projects. So take what you have. We're holding this. In conversation with TDC, they agreed to cede a portion of that land that they retained for this national strategic project in exchange for equity in the project. Don't forget, TDC is also government owned. So TDC holding, GIADEC holding, there's still government there getting some revenue. So that this private sector can bring its money, develop an industrial park, and then have industries operating, further creating additional jobs, creating more revenue for the country. And so I don't know who.
What's this industrial park supposed to be?
The industrial park is supposed to house various industries. So set it up, have the outlay, have the plan, install with all the necessary utilities and all of that, and drive the industries there. So we are looking at a portion that will be reserved purely for downstream aluminium related activities. The other portion, because of revenue generation, will be reserved to other factories, companies to come and, operate there and create additional jobs, create more revenue for the state. So if anybody says that sitting Reindorf Twumasi Ankrah have sold Valco land, I don't even have the alarm documents. All those documents are with TDC.
So this industrial park thing, is it something coming from GIADEC or is from government? Or
it's a government directive.
So the government said that this is what you want. So why is your name mentioned in there?
Because government, after a meeting with His Excellency, later a letter was communicated to my minister that because GIADEC has the mandate to develop industrial parks, you should let GIADEC lead this initiative and then make sure that what the president wants to see realized within his term is done. And that is how come my name came into it. We were not even a part of it. That is how I got involved. So people are just fighting me for no reason.
So you are going to be the implementer of this industrial park?
Exactly, that's what we are doing.
So has the land been given to you?
So the land has been given. So we are still going through the motions. We are talking, the lawyers, of course, such transactions involve lots of lawyers. So the lawyers for the other side are lawyers. Later we'll go to the Attorney General, seek final advice on the documentations. Once it's executed, part of the conditions, land will be allocated, and then the project starts. Does
Valco have to be around the table for this discussion, or because the land doesn't belong to Valco, they don't have any say?
No, but if you don't, the land doesn't belong to you, so what are you coming to have the discussion?
But it's their land.
It's not their land. Let's get that clear.
The CEO has said something to that effect.
It's not about what you say, it's about what the documents say. It's about what the documents say. I mean, if it's about speculation, we cannot speculate. Umaru, I can just walk down the street, go to, Silver Star Towers and claim that all the cars there are mine. But at the end of the day, I have to prove that indeed they are mine. So the question is, come and prove that it is yours. Because when you prove that it is yours, it doesn't change anything. What it changes is that because TDC came in there as the owner of the land, we change the ownership. In any case, we own you. So even if the ownership, even if you come and prove it, it adds to our access to go and say that TDC give all the 30% to GIADEC.
So if a worker of Valco is watching you now in 30 seconds, what assurance are you giving to them? And maybe the Ghanaian who is interested in Valco.
In fact, the workers who have been ready to know what is really happening, we have tried as much as possible to put out their information. We have assured them of no job losses because we cannot seek to create jobs and then occasion job losses. That is not part of the mandate. So they should be rest assured. There are not going to be any job losses. But let me add a caveat that if you say you won't work, nobody can force you to work. You're a lawyer, and then
not yet. Don't.
Okay, so you're a law student. You're a law student, and you know that employment is not a servitude. So if you don't want to work, nobody can force you to work. But once you're ready to work, well, you have all the protections to work, and that is what GIADEC is there to ensure that happens. And that I assure them that their jobs are secured, and I want them to be comfortable, have the peace of mind to discharge their duties and rally behind the project and not rely on any misinformation, but always probe further to understand what is happening.
Reindorf Twumasi Ankrah, CEO, GIADEC. Thank you for joining us on Face to Face. Thank you so much. So that's by way of our conversation today on Face to Face on Channel One Television. We'll be back with more next week. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Thank you for watching us.